Hello and welcome to the Rugby Hour, your weekly hour of two guys talking absolute humbuggery about the rugby. Quick thing about what this is. This is a cool little podcast we have, myself and my friend Kieran. Quickly, I'm Hugh and I'm a Bar fan. I've been a season ticket for the past 8 seasons and I'm joined by Kieran.
I'm Kieran. I am a Bristol fan, unfortunately, at the moment. Been one for the past 10 or so seasons. Just had to one up you there, Hugh. Just true fan of my club.
Yeah.
This is our podcast. It's been gone for a while, but we're finally back for some juicy Premiership action.
Yes, we are. So basically, what this podcast is we started this about 2-3 years ago now. 2.5 years.
Our first years of uni.
Yeah, where we wanted to talk about rugby for an hour for a bit. And then it went for about 9 episodes, and then we just sort of got out of the routine of doing it. Yeah, stuff happened. But we've decided to bring it back, and we've thought, what better week to do it than the return of club rugby? That's it, the Premiership's back this weekend. So, if we have a little preview about it, we won't talk about the Six Nations, because everybody's already talked about the Six Nations. Anything kind of wanted to hear
what's
about
the Six Nations?
Exactly.
What's this?
Exactly. We're going to start talking about... But before we jump into a preview of the run-in for the... actually, going all over the place, this is why you should do it with scripts. Full preface.
You can tell we've not done it for a year or two.
Full preface, that will primarily talk about the Premiership and when it starts again, the Champions Cup. More because, while I try and watch as much as I can, I don't watch enough of the URC or the Top 14 or Super Rugby to properly give my opinion on it that has any weight behind it. And I think it's just, a bit silly to talk about something you obviously don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean...
It's like, do you ever watch the European coverage and you get like Lawrence Dallaglio or someone, I don't know why I'm singling out Lawrence Dallaglio because he's a crap pundit, that's why, but any pundit who they'll start to about, Connaught come into this in a real rich vein of form, even though they've lost 3 out of their last 5 or something.
Yeah, it's really like Danica Patrick in the Formula One.
Yeah.
You know absolutely nothing about what you're saying, but you just waffle it to the end.
Yeah,
exactly. We're not interested in doing that. There's no point.
Whereas the Premiership is where we can shine.
Best league in the world.
Exactly. But before we talk about the Premiership or preview the run-in, we want to quickly talk about 2 bits of general news that have come around recently in the world of rugby, starting with World Rugby looking at bringing in new laws and taking out some laws. So at the moment, what that includes is World Rugby are looking to outlaw the croc roll. They're looking at closing the DuPont law loophole off of kick chase. They want to remove the scrum option when teams are awarded a free kick. And World Rugby are also looking at things that they want to see have trials, which are ball must be played after a maul has been stopped once, not twice. Play on for line out, not straight, if the throw is uncontested, as well as can mark the ball inside the 22-metre line from a restart. As well as that, World Rugby councillors voting on the 20-minute red card. So
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot's going on with the laws of the game.
Which I think is exactly my problem with a lot of it. Is rugby's a complicated enough game.
Yeah.
At the start of it, and then when you change it every 2 years.
Yeah.
Or so, like with new laws, it just gets so complicated. I mean, some of them I agree with.
You see, my issue is World Rugby seeming obsession with rugby league. The one is taking away the scrum option off of a free kick.
If you don't want scrums, you don't want line out or mauls, you don't want rucks, just go watch rugby league.
Exactly.
They've already done it. They've got arguably a more prosperous fan base up in the north. Yeah. Go move up in the north. Go watch some rugby league.
Yeah,
who cares about this union stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. Because what might actually surprise World Rugby is that a lot of rugby viewers actually quite enjoy the scrums. And actually
otherwise we'd all be watching their little sport where they put it between their legs every now and then. And all that dilly-dallying.
Removing the scrum option from a free kick is ridiculous because what does that mean? Oh, if your scrum's not going well, just quickly early engage so that the referee...
I'll tell you what, as a front row, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
You know, our scrum gets dominated. I'm in a team of students against some fat farmers. I'm just gonna go take the knee and pre-engage all around. You know, you can't do the same one twice. So you get out the long list of rugby scrum laws there are to break, and I'll just pick and choose my moments on my 5. Thank you very much. Free kick. We're off the hook.
Yeah. So stupid law.
And one thing I want to mention, everyone wants to shorten scrums, take scrums out the game. And a lot of people don't realise it's what gives the sport so much balance.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in just having a scrum. I agree scrums can be boring. But the fact that teams have to consider bringing in these big, heavy blokes, strong blokes, just for a scrum, it means it can create weaknesses, openings further in the field. If you had 8 massive Benel style players, all physically fit, there's no gaps on the pitch because everyone can cover everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's that balance, and it's why rugby is such a game for everyone, as they say it.
Yeah, all shapes and sizes.
It brings that balance in. You take away the scrum, you'll take away a lot more with it. And you'll find rugby league, they took away the scrum and they just reduced the players. So maybe we can go that direction and create a new game without rucks, scrums, and mauls and all that stuff. I don't think anyone's done that yet. I think it'll be quite a good idea.
Yeah. In all fairness, I don't actually mind the ball must be played once the maul has stopped once. I can get behind that. I can get behind that. Although I don't mind how it is, because if it stops, I think you should be allowed the chance to get it going again. Say by throwing your backs in or something. Because a lot of the teams, when it's called stopped once, they'll get it out anyways.
And you have to use it anyway. So it either starts going forward again and you risk losing it, or you play it out. It's not exactly like it stops once and then you have this whole amount. Like I don't see the issue with it. And it's not like mauls ever take that long.
No,
like they're not like a scrum where you reset. No, exactly. I don't think there was a problem with mauls, and they seemed to try and solve a problem that wasn't there.
Yeah.
But also the problem isn't there, so I don't think it will make much of a difference.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise.
But then we'll give the credit where it's rightfully due. The Dupont law, getting rid of that, because that is farcical, and the fact it's only just been discovered, that loophole, is beyond me.
Yeah, I mean, we started to see it in France in the World Cup.
Yeah.
And as soon as I watched my first game at Ashton Gate, I saw Bristol doing the exact same thing. I was like, oh, this is the thing now. This is the thing. Everyone's getting lazy. They don't want to chase the kicks.
Did you see the Bath Gloucester game where you had a minute of just the Dupont law on show in its full? It was utterly farcical. It was so boring to watch.
And always Bath seems to get in a lot of these kick battles. I don't know why. What it is with Bath.
Well,
but you've had so many of these kick battles. It's just insane.
Yeah. And then, quickly before we move on, also outlawing the croc roll. That's good, because too many serious injuries get caused by the croc roll.
I've had too many knee injuries to be against that one. Yeah. So,
but getting rid of the croc roll seems long overdue.
Well done, World Rugby. You did something good.
Yeah. And then quick thing we want to talk about before we move on to the Premiership preview is that Doncaster Knights, who currently sit 4th in the Championship, have met the minimum standards criteria to be promoted. So they're now eligible for promotion. Now, that doesn't mean that they'll just get promoted at the end of the season. They've still got to come top in the Championship and win a 2-legged playoff against whoever finished bottom in the Premiership. But they're finally there to meet the minimum standards requirement. Now, for me, it raises the question. I don't agree with the minimum standards requirement at all, because the league desperately needs promotion relegation. It desperately needs 12 teams, because too many teams have had to put up ticket prices to compensate for the loss of revenue.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about Bath season ticket prices later.
Of course you will.
They've gone up 25%.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right? But
are they 25% better? I wouldn't. Well, actually.
Well, the rugby's a lot more than 25% better.
Yeah.
But, what I would talk about now, ignore the minimum standards requirement for a second. Well, actually, that's what I want to talk about. Why Ealing? They invest so much money into their playing squad. Like, you look at some of the names they have, Billy Twelvetrees and Jonah Holmes, to name two quickly. Why haven't they invested any money into reaching the minimum standards requirement? Or that might not be fair characteristic, but not enough money to meet the minimum standards requirement.
I think it's rugby's big problem with short-term gain, long-term gain. There's just yes, they get to the Premiership, but that's a big maybe. I don't know. Do they have big investors? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
No, I'm not too up on Ealing's finances, but they've invested a lot in their playing squad.
Yeah, and it's worked for them there. Do Ealing want to get promoted? You can imagine they would.
Yeah.
But is there the facilities, the structures within rugby? Is there the profitability to be able to do both? Have both a good playing squad and good facilities to move up? That's the question you've got to raise. And that's why I disagree with the standards entirely, because surely a team is going to make more money once they're in the Premiership. Surely having them there for a start can be better. Nothing can really and also they're going to bring crowds at other teams, at other stadiums.
Yeah. The thing is,
better than no one like we have at the moment.
I've always thought that that it shouldn't be a straight, you need this stadium or this facility right away. It should be, I think, after you get promoted, if you're in the league for 3 or more years, then by that point you should have a plan to upgrade to the minimum standards criteria. At the very least, a plan, because then you have a lot more financial security now that you're a stable club in the division. But that's doom and gloom. And anyway, let's get back. Let's talk about the exciting thing, which is club rugby returns this weekend.
Yes.
And for what we're going to talk about is we're going to do a little preview, going in reverse order of the current table, starting with Newcastle, ending with Northampton. A bit about the teams, what we think of them, what they should be aspiring for with the last 6 games of the season, and then maybe a final prediction at the end of where they'll finish.
Yeah, sounds like a splendid plan, if I do say so myself.
So
I do think that the conversation about Ealing does lead on quite well to Newcastle.
It does.
A team that have got 4 points this whole season, none of which from a win.
Yeah.
And really in dire situations. I mean, they've obviously got Saudi money coming in.
Yes, there has been a lot about that, hasn't there, over the Six Nations break?
Yeah, over this massive long break. It feels like I forgot about the Premiership, to be honest. But last 5 games in the Premiership, if you can remember them, 5 losses, of course. They won nothing. A couple close calls. Bristol at home, they only lost by 8 points. But that's about it. I can't see them moving up anywhere, to be honest.
Well, the thing, they've brought in Steve Diamond as head coach now, which Steve Diamond is very much rugby's version of getting Sam Allardyce into the end of the season to try and keep a Premier League team from getting relegated.
But there's no relegation.
No, exactly. But, I mean, the thing is with Newcastle is that they don't have the budget of the other 9 clubs. They don't have the playing squad. They don't have the facilities that other clubs do. So they're always at a disadvantage. That being said, they have some quality players. You look at Guy Pepper, who's been the young open side. He's been linked with a lot of moves away. I know Bath are very interested in him. I think Queens have been. I think Bristol have been as well. You look at, we all know how the quality that Radwan possesses on the wing. And then, of course, Jamie Blamire at hooker, who is such a fantastic athlete.
Yeah.
And I really, with all due respect to Newcastle, I'd like to see him at a better club, in a better squad. Because, I mean, he's already had England call-ups. I like to see what he can do if he's performing at a higher level.
The problem with Newcastle is they will get the good players and they'll get them there, and often players that people, underrated players that have come through, young guns that prove to be good, but as soon as they're at that level, they're scouted by another team.
Yeah.
And then now, because why would you sit at the bottom of the Premiership table, probably on a lower pay, when a big team can just come in and nab you
you want a good perfect example of that is Mateo Carreras, who's who just left a few weeks ago to move to Bayonne. I mean, we all saw how good he was for Newcastle last season and the start of this season. It's no surprise that
he's one of those players, and you just play the team every time. You're like, please don't get the ball, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep him away.
Some of the tries he scored, I mean, him and Radwan on the wings together. It was just the game plan was how can we get it to them as quickly as possible.
But I think overall, there's not much else to say about Newcastle at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look,
We can wait and see, but there's hope. They're trying to change it. They're doing it at the right time before next season.
yeah.
Let's see if the investment can bring them some new players to go with some new coaches.
Yeah. See what Steve
and
Dine can do.
really, it's all about next season for them. I think if I was a Newcastle fan, you can't get too down about it because there is no relegation. There's always next
there's no
season.
danger. Well, there
Move
is
on.
if Doncaster finish top and you lose the playoffs to them, but those are two unlikely things to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Newcastle. It's for Steve Diamond. It's very much going to be treating this as a prolonged pre-season. See what needs to be strengthened. See what are the strengths. What Newcastle can really build on. But honestly, if you're looking for an aim for the last 6 games, then it's probably to just win a game.
Oh my God, Zoom's telling me we have 10 minutes remaining.
Okay, we'll stop after. We'll come back after
Oh,
10 minutes.
We'll have to stop and restart. We're not used to this.
No.
Anyway,
we're not.
carry on.
We'll do that in a sec. But for Newcastle, aim to just win a game. I think being realistic, that's the realistic aim. But honestly,
Yeah.
I don't think they will. Because you think now is that clubs are getting into end of season mode. They're gearing up to go and qualify for the playoffs. So suddenly these games become a lot bigger. And I think every team who has to play Newcastle is very much going to be targeting that as a bank of 5 points.
Yeah.
So,
You'd hope.
Can they win a game? I think they have the quality to win a game, but I'm not so sure they will. And honestly, final prediction for them, I think they will finish last.
Yeah. I don't think they'll get it. I think they'll get 1 win all season.
Yeah.
I'll be generous there. But moving up to a team on a lot more points, Gloucester.
Yes, but who have had an equally disappointing season. Let's say, well, I say that they did just win the Prem Rugby Cup, but in the Premiership, an equally disappointing season. Look,
22 points.
Look, at the start of this, they won their first 2 games of the season. Then they won on a 9-game losing run, which isn't great, let's face it. And a lot of questions being asked of George Skivington as head coach. I mean, I think Gloucester did have a lot of injuries, particularly after those first 2 games, and during that 9-game losing run, they did have quite a few injuries. But then I always hate that excuse because what team doesn't have injuries? It's a part of rugby.
Yeah, I heard nothing of what you said because my internet died, but I agree with it all. But yeah, okay. Lost 4 of their 5 last games, but won their most recent to Sale.
That was a big win for them. That was a
huge win.
Yeah.
And then you'd think they could pick up momentum, but an 8-week break means that they can't.
Yeah, but then you add on that they had the Prem Rugby Cup, and they've won that, which, shining light on an otherwise very poor season so far for Gloucester.
It's quite the problem for Gloucester is it's quite difficult to see them in any sort of fight for anything. Maybe top 8, top 6. I can't even remember what prizes are on offer for these things these days.
Well, I don't even know what qualifies you for the Champions Cup anymore. It can't be 8 because that's just too many teams in a 10-team league then. But I don't know, for Gloucester, I think it's more about, a lot about pride, but also I think for Skivington about keeping his job.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such a competitive league. You only have to be a couple steps behind to lose these games. I mean, I was looking at Northampton at the top, and they've not won games by massive margins. Like, Gloucester only lost by 2 points to them.
Yeah.
At Kingsholm. But it's those tiny margins that in this league, you just need 1 or 2 to go your way over the season, and they've just not been capable of that. But promising signs, Premiership Cup win, as you mentioned. They can move up that step. I don't think they'll catch Bristol even. I think they'll stay where they are myself.
I think they'll stay in 9th as well.
Purely, but I think they'll close the gap by 5, if maybe a few more points.
Yeah.
I think they'll end up close on the tail end, but I think the gap is too far at the moment.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I mean, I do think as well, the games they have left, it's like, it's like it's already Bath have already played Gloucester twice, and obviously Bath have won both of those. And I think actually the game at Kingsholm where Gloucester just capitulated in the second half, they were really really poor in the second half of that game. That's just it's just with Gloucester, like the only game they can really get excited about now is the Bristol game at Kingsholm on the 20 something of April. But,
and hope they didn't fold like they did against Bristol at Ashton Gate.
Yeah.
But a home crowd is very different.
Yeah, but overall, final prediction of 9th for Gloucester, I think. I can't see them moving far up. Okay then, and welcome back after that quick intermission.
Well, it was just a jump cut for them. I think that's pretty quick.
Yeah. Not enough time to put the kettle on. But anyway, if we get straight back into it then, and we move on to talking about Bristol Bears.
Winning the season. We're winning the season.
So,
I'm telling you now.
There was a news story that came out, I think, in the Rugby paper that apparently Bristol are targeting an end-of-season title charge. Now, do I think Bristol are capable of finishing the playoffs? I think you're in the conversation. I think that win against us on the last game, that was...
do you remember the score for that, Hugh?
I've purged it from my mind.
57-44.
Yeah, but that result was huge for Bristol. I think if you lost that would have been the final nail in your coffin for this season.
I feel like every game is, well, not every game, but a lot of them, it felt like a must-win, that game. And almost, not just for Bristol, but for Pat Lam, to keep him in those title hopes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if Bristol lost that game against Bath, you'd be forgiven for thinking that you're sort of condemned to 8th place finish at that point.
Yes.
Definitely not top 4.
No, you see, I think the wins kept you in the conversation for the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Bristol on 30 points, Quins in second on 37. 2 wins away.
Yeah.
1 win gets them up to 5th, if you're lucky with bonus points and points difference. So I don't have them here. And they go into the run-in as the joint second most informed team, joint with Tigers behind Saints.
Yeah. Now, the thing is that I don't think Bristol have played particularly good rugby this season. I think you're into your 3rd season of abject mediocrity with the rugby you're playing.
Yeah.
I
think that particularly is stuck out. Like, I've watched probably every game, and we haven't played well, but somehow we're still in the conversation. And towards the end, we're starting, like the Bath game, for example, to get to that DNA that you see. And like Bristol, everyone knows them for their fast flow and all that. They had that a few years back. And they didn't the next few years. And whereas it may hurt you sometimes, playing with that sort of DNA, that sort of everyone knows what we're doing, what we're going for, I think that's important for a squad.
Yeah, to have an identity. It is important. Yeah. I think what Bristol have in these final 6 games are 6 cup finals, but the problem is they're cup finals where you're dependent on other results.
Well, the thing with Bristol is their run-in is probably it starts with Saints, but Saints you're not gonna know. I mean, that game. So, my fire alarm.
Jesus.
I hope you can hear me. This is what life's like in a student house.
Okay.
Oh, it's off. Oh. All right. There we go.
You're not burning down?
No. I am alive. Okay. I know. I think a lot of people would like me not to be, but
yeah.
So after Saints, they're on. They've got Gloucester and Falcons, which
two nice.
The 2 shitters. Let's be honest. If we're being completely frank.
Yeah.
I don't know what Frank did, but completely frank. I can see them doing it. I think if they beat Saints, they've got easy momentum builders against Gloucester and Falcons. Ride that train. Leicester, tough game. Sarries, tough game. Quinn's, tough game.
Now, I think that if you lose the Saints game, you're dead. You're out of the playoff conversation. It's going to be too far for you to catch. I think you have to beat Saints to keep
I agree with that.
Playoff hopes.
But if we beat Saints, I'm fully on that train.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've got my final prediction 6 for Bristol.
That's harsh. I think we're going to do a Quins in the season they beat us in Bristol. I think we're going to come 4th and win the whole thing.
Really?
I mean, I've got to back us, don't I? I mean, not back my team.
Delusion's great. It's great.
But I mean, I've learned with Bristol that usually we're on the receiving end of the anything can happen, and it's a game of two halves. It's a season, quite literally, of two halves this season, and this is going to be the best second half performance you ever see from a team.
We'll see. I don't think you will. I think you'll lose to Saints.
Crossing like Donald Trump there, just completely falsity, but
I think you'll lose to Saints on Friday night, and that's it. That's it. That's the final.
Yeah. If we lose to Saints, that's gone.
Are you going to that?
You probably will now. I'm going to the game. Yes.
Are you? I am as well. I'll see you there.
Oh, I'll see you there. Probably in my lovely, nice seats, because we reward our long-term season ticket holders very well. And
okay, right. Well,
actually, fuming. My season ticket is about 2 rows in front of the padded seats, which are the same price, but I don't get a pad.
Really?
Which is like, yeah. Luckily, my rear end is nice and cushioned anyway.
That is nice.
It reminds me of the cold hard battle they're all putting out on the pitch. Not having these luxuries out there on the 5 metre line, hanging on against.
They don't have padded seats when they're defending pick and goes on the try line.
Exactly. So why should I have one?
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well,
I'm a real fan in that aspect.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to move on to Sale now.
Yeah, not much to say about Bristol.
Right.
Sale
started the season well, top of the league, but then they've sort of fallen off a cliff in the past few
I'm
games.
seeing a lot of red on my paper here.
Yeah.
5 out of 5, they've lost 4 for the last ones.
Yeah.
3 losses in a row. Even their win against Sarries, which is it's always a good win against Sarries, only by 2 points.
Yeah.
I mean, Sale have never been a high point scoring team, and we're sort of in a cycle of high point scoring teams coming in and dominating. With Saints, especially Quins, you see it, and Bath are playing some actually quite entertaining. I hate to say it, rugby.
We are.
I think the Sale of few years gone by just aren't quite, locking in the attacks the same way.
I don't think their physicality's been there.
No,
they've lost a lot
that's
of
where
it.
it comes from.
And they have been. It's hard to say because they've just fallen off a cliff in the past few games, and it's weird to pinpoint what happened. But I remember the Sale Bath game back in November, I think it was, where Bath went up. We were second at the time; they were first, and we went up with a complete second string side. We thought we got other priorities to play our best players in, and we should have won that game. We lost 11 points to 9. I really think we should have won it.
Oh, what an enthralling game!
Oh yeah, it was. I found it really entertaining, but that's because I was emotionally invested in it.
Oh well, yeah, I was.
But
I'm not going to say.
The thing is, Sale had their full strength side out, and they were poor. They were really poor. Like their physicality just wasn't there. Their scrum wasn't functioning as well as it was.
I mean, it's always hard to tell if Sale play well unless you're an absolute defensive nerd, which I am, self-admittedly. But the problem with having your game plan based on defense, I mean, usually it's an asset because you bring the intensity, your game plan works.
Yeah.
You lock them out. That's what they've done for years. now if they don't bring the intensity, then they've not got an attack to compensate for it. But yeah, there's not much. They even lost to Gloucester. Says enough. Quite a considerable 32-20 as well.
Yeah. Well, I think, look, the Six Nations break came at the right time for Sale. They desperately need
Definitely.
it. But they need to start winning to just stem the bleeding.
Definitely.
So, I mean, who do they have this weekend?
So coming up, they start with Bath.
Oh, yes, of course. Which...
Call yourself a fan.
Yeah, I know. But I'll talk about that in a bit when we get to Bath.
Their running's quite... Their start of their running is quite rough. Their whole running is all games I can see them losing. I mean, you've got Bath, you've got Chiefs, you've got Quins.
Yeah.
They're all quite hard games. And they're... What is it? Away to... No, home to Chiefs and Quins, not too bad, but away to Bath is a horrible one.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I'm not going to watch that game. It's going to be about 6-3. I've spent too many. I've probably spent like 200 minutes of my life, my busy, not really, but I'll call it busy life, watching Bath and Sale score about 10 points collectively.
Well, we had the 6-3, and then the game after that, which was the next season, and I remember it was bitterly cold December afternoon, and the game finished 7-7.
I think the best part of the game was when the lights went out and Austin Healey finally went off the comms, and they couldn't link to him. I was like, thank goodness, because the game was dull. You've got that voice nattering in. Which I secretly do like Austin Healey's comms. I'll confess. But
look, it's not all doom and gloom for Sale. I mean, they've finally gotten rid of Tuilagi because, I mean, I think, do you know what? I had this conversation last week about Manu Tuilagi. Right now, what does he do that your bang average Premiership centre doesn't do? What does he do that Sam Bedlow doesn't do? What does he do that Max Ajomo, that James Williams, that what's his name, Ollie Hartley? What does
might sell a couple tickets.
Huh?
Might sell a couple tickets.
Yeah.
And he'll prove your stretcher works.
Yes, he will.
But he does have a bit of a tendency to get injured. The thing for me is, and we'll talk about it now in mind as well, about him leaving, where he might go. Why would you sign him right now?
Well, it's announced he's going to Bayonne next season.
Oh, is it? I didn't even know.
I thought it would have been Japan. I was ready to post, get ready to learn Japanese, buddy.
But yeah, I just don't really see what he's adding in the moment too much. I mean, he's a great player still.
I mean, he's one of those on his day best player.
I mean, you used to play him, and you used to be every time he got the ball, you could be God, I hope someone's up for a tackle. Yeah. Whereas now I just don't see it as much.
No, he doesn't have the fear factor he once did.
No.
But is that a surprise when over the past 10, I think I've read this, over the past 10 seasons, he's had 70 Premiership appearances or something like that?
Yeah.
He's just... But they have brought in next season the Fiji captain, Nika Levu, which is a very exciting sign.
That's a massive signing.
Yeah, and I do like that.
It's so anti-Sale.
Yeah, I know, right? They're bringing in a flair player. And I do actually like that it's only on a 1-year deal, because he is 34, Nika Levu.
Yeah.
With all due respect. But...
He's going to bring that offload up to the north, and they're going to go, what's this thing they brought us then? I can't do a northern accent. I shouldn't even try, should I? You can imagine their wonder at this offload thing. Yeah. You know, they'll be going off to rugby league and seeing, you know, what is this?
Yeah. But I don't know. This season for Sale, I only see it getting worse. My final prediction is 8th.
I think 8th. I was going to say 9th, but I can't do maths, so 8th.
Yeah, I just the opening few games I have in the running, I can't see them getting much out of them.
But from the animals, the deadly animals of the sea, to the deadly animals of the land.
Yes,
Leicester Tigers.
I got here. I think new head coach this season, Dan McKellar, and I think they've had a mixed season. You know, I mean,
But you'd always expect that.
Yeah, it is. And I just think Dan McKellar's done an all right job so far. But I don't know, they've been inconsistent, Leicester. But I think they've had some big wins this season. I'm thinking there was the game against Bath at the Rec, which they won. I won't talk about the game at Welford Road when we sent up a second string side, but the game at the Rec where they won with a last minute kick. They had that win against Saracens back at the start of January.
2 games ago.
And they also had a big win against
start of January 2 games ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, won against Sarries 19-10, beat Quins 20-19 away.
Yeah,
beat
but then they also
35-22.
But then they also lost to Quins at Welford Road.
Yeah.
And then also think back to that opening night against Bristol where Leicester were woeful. So
how long ago was that opening night?
Yeah, I know that. But so it's been a mixed season from Leicester so far, inconsistent.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's going to stay like that. But I think Dan McKellar, he's done an all right job so far.
I do have to say, I think the breaks come at the wrong time because they were gathering momentum. They're on their second best run of form, joint with Bristol, as I mentioned earlier, and they were building. A wee break. And it's not like their recent wins have been against bad sides. Bath, Sarries, Quins, all tough oppositions to go to. So I think it's going to be one of those, the breaks come at the wrong time and I think it's going to kill them.
Yeah.
But saying that, where do I see them moving? I reckon maybe about where they are right now.
Well
I reckon they'll go up and down a bit, but...
They're sixth at the moment. I've got them finishing seventh.
Yeah. It's sixth or seventh. I think seventh is about right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well then if we move on then quite swiftly to Exeter Chiefs, currently sat in fifth place. And for Exeter, I think Rob Baxter's, well, as he always has done, Exeter is doing a very good job. They're going through a massive rebuild this season. They've had a lot of players leave over the past year and a bit. They've had to really, rebuild again. You look at, they're relying a lot on young players. I'm thinking specifically Daffyd Jenkins, who's been excellent for Exeter. I think that they're lucky that they've got Chris Chunza coming back for them. And I think, Slade has really stood up for them this season. Slade's had a very, very good season, very much leading from the front, this young Exeter team. This Exeter team, though, I think there's been a lot of performances where you can very much tell they're in rebuild. I think they've had excellent performances. I think the game they had against Munster at home in the group stages, they were excellent in that. But then I look at, I know they won it, but the game they had against Glasgow at home, where they should have lost that. They got away with one. They got away with a massive one in that game.
It faded my memory. I think I watched it in the pub. I was like,
yeah,
how the hell are they in this game?
Yeah, and then the scrum at the end, and it was such a farce on the TMO, and they were. But then anyway, more performances. Like there was the game against Bath at the Rec where it finished 40 points to 24. And the 24 wasn't it should have been 41-17. We let a crappy consolation try at the end. But they were just outclassed in every single aspect in that game, Exeter.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the game against Saracens in the week before the break, especially the second half, Saracens just took control. And this
40-22 is not a...
Well, it was 22 all at one point, I think, around the 45th minute. But then Sarries just took control. And this isn't exactly a vintage Saracen side we're watching.
And the same happened against Saints, mind.
Yeah, it did. The comeback of the Saints comeback was unbelievable.
Yeah, they were miles ahead against Saints and ended up losing by a considerable margin.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by Exeter's halfbacks. I'm not convinced by their set piece. They don't have the set piece.
I think with Exeter, it comes down to a lot of things. Everyone was looking at Exeter at the start of the season and going, this is the squad that's going to flop this season.
Yeah.
Because of all the big names they lost. And I think Exeter have always been good at having young guns coming through. Yeah. I mean, at the uni here, I see so many class players. You see even Vincent playing Italy
Yeah,
very
he had a
well.
hell
The
of a
whole
Six
Pizza
Nations
delivery
race,
story.
Ross Vincent.
Great Six Nations. And everyone, so they've lost all their star players, and with that they lose their experience. But they've still got that underlying class underneath. That's, they're capable of scoring points in the first half especially. Can they see out games so well? Clearly not so far.
No.
But they've got the talent there. They're in a build. You have to. I say it all the time, but they are in that building phase.
Yeah.
They've got the talent. I think if I was a Chiefs fan right now, considering how everyone said they were done for the whole season because of all the experience they've lost, this is now invaluable experience for the players they've got coming up.
Yeah.
And I think they'll stay around where they are now.
I think it's too early for them to get the playoffs. I think they'll stay in 5th.
Yeah, but the thing is, you look at they've had a lot of players, a lot of really young players, playing the Six Nations and the England A game as well.
Yeah,
getting quite a lot of high class experience over the last 7 weeks.
Yeah,
They could come back with a fresh bit of energy and potentially push that top 4 spot.
No, definitely. Well, they only lost it the last game against Saracens because they were in it until then. And I will give a quick shout to Josh Hodge, who I love at fullback. I love watching Josh Hodge. He's so exciting.
Little fanboy there, is it?
Well, I think it's more because I think Stuart Hogg is one of the most overrated players to play the game. And
controversy.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Josh Hodge is an excellent.
Is this where on TikTok we play the clip of him dropping it over the line?
Yeah, exactly. Probably him turning up to his ex-wife's house and getting arrested.
Allegedly.
No, he did get arrested. That's not an alleged.
Yeah.
But yeah, for X, I think they're in the rebuilding phase. I think this season they'll fall just short of the playoffs this season. I got them staying in 5th.
Yeah, I think around 5th or 4th. I can't see them moving further up than that. I mean, I guess it's possible. I'm looking at who else is going to take that spot, and do I see Tigers doing it? No. Sale, no. It's really between, I think, them, Saris, and I reckon Quins are going to be fighting for that 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Well, you
and of
also
course, I said Bristol as well.
Yeah.
So I'll shove Bristol up there. So those 4, I reckon, are going for that middle band there.
The thing is, it's so tight. It's so hard to predict. It's so tight between
It's
the
awful.
top 7, the top 8. It is.
All the people gonna grill going, oh, how dare you put my team in 8th? It's like between 8th, it's only like 3 points difference by the end of the season, maybe.
Exactly. I'm probably predicting to finish like a point out of the playoffs if you finish.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy season.
Yeah, but speaking of playoffs, we should move on to the current top 4, currently in pole position for the playoffs. Currently, those teams, it's in their hands now. We'll start off with who currently 4th is Saracens, where it's been a weird season for Saracens. It's not been vintage Saracens, and it's very much an end of an era for Saracens. You've obviously got the news that Owen Farrell's leaving. He's off to Racing next season.
Yeah.
But there's no longer that... This season, there isn't that...
It's not the ruthlessness.
No, there's not really been...
About them.
There's not been that aura about Saracens.
No.
But I don't think anybody's necessarily feared them when they've come up to play them.
Yeah, they're firmly in the flaccid stage.
Yeah, but then that being said, they still, I think that the game they had against Exeter, where they were excellent in the second half, just took it away. And of course, you look at the quality they have. I'm going to single out specifically Andy Christie, who had an amazing game for Scotland against Ireland on Saturday. You've obviously got likes of Theo McFarland, Mario Toge, and then that's not mentioning the quality they possess in the back line. Alex Good, Sean Maitland, Lewington, Nick Tompkins. Also, Ollie Hartley, who's come through and done so well this season. And then, of course, they still do have Owen Farrell for 6 games.
Yeah.
But it's just, this has been the end of an era for Saracens. It wouldn't actually surprise me if Mark McCall left at the end of the season.
Ooh,
because
I haven't really thought of that.
Well,
I think,
so my thinking is, Ulster sacked Dan McFarland
yeah,
after they lost to the Ospreys. My thinking is Mark McCall going to go to Ulster?
potentially.
That's
I think it would be the right time to do it because they're not. It's not like he's on a massive low after this season,
no,
and it's a clear shift in the players there.
yeah.
I think the attitude at the club, I reckon, has shifted. I mean, they still scream after every single
They do.
decision.
They
I mean,
do.
I don't know how
Speaking
any
of which, Ben Earl, I didn't mention Ben Earl.
Oh yeah, good player. And do you reckon he had a banger for Six Nations, right?
I thought it was plenty of better rates.
Class player. I mean, he's going to be riding a wave off that World Cup, and
Yeah.
I think everyone in the Premiership is going to fear him for a little bit. But now, we're riding that confidence. Yeah, for me, it's whether Sarries can find that level of clinicalism and ruthlessness that they had before. I don't know what it is. They've not lost any big names, really, too much.
No, it's just I don't know. It's like the word aura doesn't actually mean anything. It's just the aura around the club is just changed. It's no longer. I don't fear Saracens. That being said, now I want teams to beat Saracens, not because I don't like Saracens, the cheating bastards, but also because I've been thinking very much about when it comes to playoff contention. It's just about holding them off for as long as possible.
Yeah.
They will be there at the end of the season, and I do think they will finish in the playoffs, but it's just holding. Also, it's stopping them from getting a home semi-final. Because teams, if you go in the playoffs at the Stone X, you're not going to win.
Well,
you don't have a hope in hell. You face them.
They only have about 4 fans.
Yeah,
true. Probably a home advantage, is
true.
it?
But then also everybody hates the pitch at the Stone X as well.
Yeah.
But if you face them at your ground, you got the chance. So yeah, I mean they got their big London derby coming up this weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. They're but what I don't know what they call it, the Showdown or something. Sarries call their game.
A lot of silly names now.
But looking like hopefully they sell out at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for Sarries versus Quins. Should be a very exciting game to watch. Two teams
They've got a decently tough run into. I mean, all bar Gloucester in that top 8 run.
Yeah.
Got Quins in there, Saints in there, Bath in there.
Yeah.
Sale and Bristol at the end might be a few easier for them.
You also got to think that they're facing Bath away. They're facing Bristol away. Are they also facing Northampton away? I'm fairly
Saints
sure
away.
they are. Yeah, facing Northampton away.
Which are all much, much different teams to play at home. I mean, Ashton Gate, Bristol are a completely different team when they play there.
Yeah.
They go away, they look like they've just completely changed.
And then I'll put as well in that Bath have already beaten Sarries this season at the Stone X, admittedly during the World Cup when Sarries didn't have their in the England internationals. But we don't make the fixture list. We don't decide when we play Saracens.
Yeah, and Bath have a lot of England internationals too.
Yeah, and also Saints beat them at the Stone X when Sarries had all their England internationals. So, yeah, they got that's a difficult running they have. But the thing is, they obviously have the quality. They obviously have the experience in these situations.
Yeah, I was going to back them to go second, and then I looked at their running again, and I think
I've got them staying fourth.
Yeah, I think they'll jump Bath, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Okay. No, I've got them staying fourth.
Because I'm seeing Bath's form start to falter a bit. Of course, internationals were off for a little bit of that.
Well,
as you love to point out every time I point out Bristol's win against them, but
this lets us nicely segue into talking about Bath, where you can say our form's faltering. I think that the Six Nations break came at the wrong time because we had the game against. We obviously had the big win in Europe against Racing, which shows how far we've come in the past few years. Then we go to Toulouse the next week, and we lost 31-19, but in my view, it was still our best performance this season because not many teams can keep Toulouse to that scoreline. We were 19-all until about the 65th minute or something.
They're not Leinster. You're a top-class Premiership side. I mean, if you're going for the win here.
Right, Toulouse played Quins at the Stoop and beat them 52-19.
Yeah, true.
They play Ulster in Ulster and they battered them.
Bath did play well that game. It didn't feel like a dominant game either.
No.
I mean, it felt like Toulouse had their... 10-minute warning. Toulouse had their moments and their... and they obviously came out on top, but Bath were a good outfit in for most of the game.
We were. And that was, I think, our best performance this season. And I'm going to... and other than that, our best performances have come against Quins at home and Exeter at home, where, I mean, they're our rivals this season of playoffs, and we were just by far and away the better side in those games. Beat them up front, beat them in the back line.
All right, calm down.
Yeah, look, this is the Johan van Gran revival. What he's done over the past 2 years is brilliant.
I just wish he was still coming last. It was so much better. Life was so much better when Bath were just at the bottom of that table.
But what Johan van Gran has done at Bath is, I'm not going to say a miracle, because he has, of course, had a lot of financial backing.
Yeah, I was going to say a miracle when you
it's
get
not a miracle,
Russell
but...
in. Actually, I would call the miracle the folding of the clubs for you, because you have the Bath Vultures.
Yeah.
Snapped a lot of players that have proved a bit handy.
Yeah. That being said, we now have Ted Hill, who came back after a long injury last weekend in a friendly against Leinster. So it's excellent to have him back for the run-in. I'm excited to get back into it. Ben Spencer and Finn Russell, the best half-back partnership in the league.
That's enough about
quickly then. Oh, yeah. Disappointing result against Bristol, but we were missing 8 England internationals in that game.
Yeah, and Bristol were missing about 12 players for injury. But...
Every team has injuries. It's a crappy excuse. I was thinking about this the other week, about what Bath need to do to finish in the playoffs, and I figured probably need, out of the remaining 30 points available, we probably need 16. And I make that to be win our 3 home games and Newcastle, or bonus points, blah, blah, blah. But also do see what we can pick up. I'm not too excited for the Quins and Exeter away games, even though we battered them at home. Away, it's a different proposition. So, So, I don't know. I think it's going to be very much see what we can pick up there. But I'm excited for the run-in. I am, and I actually have Bath finishing second. I'm going to be confident and say we'll get the home semi-final.
I think you could deserve it. You deserve a second. To be honest, I have no clue where you're going to finish in the top 4. Neither do I have a clue with anyone. But you're definitely not getting first. I know that much. So I'm just going to leave that very open-ended prediction.
Yeah, fair enough.
Quickly do Quins.
Quins. I was just critical of Quins for how crap they were against Bath, but they've had a very nice season. Currently sat second, of course they have. A bit
in good form, 3 out of the last 5.
Although they did have that loss against Leicester at home, which was a
1 point in it.
Yeah,
so you can't take too much. It's one of those ones that could go either way.
Yeah,
won their next 2. Away loss at Bath, always a hard ground, not a big score.
Yeah, I'm not actually convinced by Quins this season. I mean, I think specifically the performance they had against Bath,
jammy gits, really, aren't they?
You had the performance they had against Saracens as well, where they were just absolutely battered at the Stoop by Sarries. And you're thinking, but then on the other hand, they had that huge performance against Sale, where they won like 36-3.
Yeah.
But Quins, ultimately, they'll be more than good enough to finish in the playoffs, I think. I think they'll finish 3rd, but they could very, very easily finish in 2nd. Quickly, they got Esther Hazen leaving at the end of the season, which...
Big loss.
And the perfect replacement for them would be Menoncello.
Immense player.
Yeah. He was my player of the tournament in the Six Nations, and
I mean, I agree. Brex as well was immense, but that Six Nations chat was that tournament.
But I think Menincello is the perfect replacement for Estes at Quins.
Yeah, you're quite right there. I didn't quite think. Where is his contract out?
No, it's not. I'm just thinking if they could, whoever they want.
Ideal world.
Well, because they've actually been quite heavily linked with Ollie Lawrence, but hashtag hands off.
You just don't want him to go.
Yeah, hashtag hands off our Ollie.
Ollie Lawrence would also be a good replacement.
Don't say that. No, they're completely different players.
Right. Anything more to say about Quins? I reckon they're gonna top four. If out of the current top four, I think they're the most likely for me to drop out of it.
I think that's fair.
In replace of Bristol, of course, to go in there.
Yeah, but I do think they have more than enough quality to.
I think they have the quality. I think they're never the most consistent team.
No.
Which I think will be their downfall. I mean, let's look at their running. They've got Sarries, Bath, Sale, Saints, Chiefs, and Bristol away. A very hard run-in, especially starting with Sarries.
Yeah.
Sarries away as well. I think it's going to be a tough one for them. I think that Sarries game's going to set the tone.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be an awful pitch at Bath as well. That's hard.
It's like the Stoop.
Yeah.
The game against Bath.
That's what I mean, an awful pitch.
Okay.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, awful. I'm chatting awful. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, I think they'll go 4th or 5th.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to stick to my third prediction for them. But yeah. Right then, and then another quick cut, which is so seamlessly done. And
Zoom kicked us out again.
But we, if people listen to this, we'll upgrade to the one where it doesn't kick you out after 40 minutes.
Who's gonna listen to this? Two blokes.
I don't know. I might listen to it.
Hoggle woggle bash boggle.
I can't remember what I said, but
what did you say?
I'll listen to it about 4 times, so you know.
Oh,
but then okay, so finally, let's get on to the current league leaders, Northampton, who. They are currently the only team that I am sure will finish in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a massive lead.
Yes.
So I'd be quite concerned if they capitulated that much.
Yes, but Northampton have been fantastic this season. They have been...
Yeah.
They learn how to defend.
They're one of the teams that the break couldn't come at a worse time.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was looking at their scores and bar the Newcastle one, which you expect, they've not really had massive win margins, but they've found their ways to win.
Yeah, I find that even more
Sarries,
impressive.
12-18, Gloucester 29-31,
yeah,
Sale 21-17. But my rugby club are going to rib me for saying that number. Exeter 36-42. So they're not massive win margins, but they're wins. They found out how to win.
They've ground out wins, and they've done it very impressively. The performance that did it for me, because Northampton, I think, will go on to win the whole thing. And you can get pretty good odds on it, 4-1, so I might put a $5 on it for the end of the season.
But only a $5?
Yeah, but it was the game against Munster in the Champions Cup, where they were down to 14 men for 40 minutes of that game, and they won, 23-26 at Thomond Park, one of the most difficult rugby grounds to go to. I mean, Finn Smith has been excellent this season for them. He has ran games so well, and I really wanted to see him get a more of a chance for England in the Six Nations, rather than just 2 minutes off at the bench against Italy and 15 minutes off at the bench against Scotland, where England were just incredibly disappointing in general, well, the back specifically. But also, Courtney Laws, aged like a fine wine, is playing some of the best rugby of his career.
Why is it when they retired from international rugby?
I don't know. But I think Courtney Laws for me is going to go on the Lions tour next summer and will start for the Lions because he said he's going to be available for it, and I can't see.
He's got to in his current form. Though.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I mean, he's had man of the match performance after man of the match performance. I think he got Premiership Player of the Month for January. He has just been so good for Northampton. But then again, you struggle to find a player for Northampton who isn't playing some of the best rugby of their careers.
Yeah.
They've been so impressive. Freeman, Dingwall have been excellent. Furbank has deservedly earned himself a recall to the England side with his performances. And then you think up front, Curtis Langdon's having a good season. Lewis Ludlam, even though he's been injured, when he was playing some excellent rugby. And it's a shame he's leaving next season, actually, to go to Toulon, I think. And as well, Courtney Laws is leaving, of course, next season. But or at the end of this season. But, yeah.
They're so studded with informed players that losing one here or there isn't going to hurt them that much, I don't think.
The thing is, they've learned how to defend because they've been able to attack like this for years, and then that last season they scored the most points, but they also conceded the most.
Yeah.
And this season they finally learned how to defend, and we've seen that by the fact that they're grinding games out now. So yeah. Northampton, they've been hugely impressive this season. There's
not much to say apart from they've just been good. They're like the opposite of Newcastle.
Yeah.
Polar opposite, really. I see them 5 wins on the bounce in the last 5 games. It's I do think, however, that this break is going to hurt their form a bit. I mean, they've had a fair few players off, rightly so with the England camp.
Yeah.
It is going to disrupt it more than a team that doesn't have, say, as many call-ups there.
Specifically, Bristol.
That's why I think. I mean, they've had how many call-ups? 1?
Who, Bristol?
No, none.
Yeah,
really.
Who, Bristol? It's only been Ellis Genge that's been called up, and he was injured for a while anyway.
Into the squad for a bit, but and Randall for like a week.
Yeah.
But no, so. I mean, I think that's what you're going to see towards, especially the first games back. I think they're going to struggle in that Bristol game because of that reason. I mean, Bristol, you never know how they're going to come back from a break. They're either the best thing ever or absolute utter dog water, really. So if it's the first one, I'm a bit worried for Saints, but I do think their form will drop off a little bit, but I think they'll keep on to that. They're not going to lose 2 more games than the rest and have the rest all win. They're going to keep their spot at first for me.
Yeah.
And they've definitely at least got a home playoff.
Yeah.
That's all I think about that, really.
They've been hugely impressive, and I think they'll carry that on and they will win the whole thing on June the 8th. But anyway, it's so exciting to have club rugby back. It's been too long a break without it. I think
it's so nice to have the rugby hour back.
Yes, it is, after a long hiatus. But we're back for an hour every week, or here around about an hour every week to...
We can't count, so we hope it's an hour.
Yeah, but around that, to just talk about the rugby. And anyway, I think we'll be back next week to review this weekend's games.
You give me your top 4 right now.
Top 4 right now. Northampton,
top 4.
Northampton first, Bath second, Quins third, Sarries fourth.
Me? I think Saints. I think Sarries, Bath, Bristol.
Okay.
Back in it. I'm back in it.
Okay.
Bristol for Prem. We're getting our vengeance.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, yeah, anyway, I think that sums up the preview for the return of the Gallagher Premiership. As I said, we'll be back next week to review the weekend's action, the 5 games that happened, and also preview next week's games. But unless you have anything else to add, Kieran, I was just going to say thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, for once, I have nothing to say. So thank you, everybody. Tune in next week. Follow our TikTok and our YouTube.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
All right, lovely. End recording.